Hello, hello. Welcome to episode 1 of Life Redefined. I am super excited to share on today's topic because this is something in particular that I get asked all the time from my community. And I thought, what better way to break it down in detail with you all in a 3-part series to start the podcast off with a bang? So today is part 1 of 3. Let's get right into it. And also, be sure to stick around to the end to hear the exciting details about the Unreal giveaway. Okay, so first, let me paint a picture real quick. You come home after a long day. You are feeling pretty drained, so you decide to sit and binge some TV shows. Next thing you know, you've been scrolling on your phone and you see this girl, Becky, with a picture perfect life. And it makes you doubt yourself and what you are even doing with your life, thinking negative things about yourself, which leads to you getting upset that you've been a couch potato all night. But then because you feel like poop, you continue to spiral with these negative thoughts. You sit there and binge the shows and wallow in these feelings because, quote unquote, this is just the way I am. Or you put yourself down by saying your life isn't like that other person, or I'm lazy, or I suck, or I'm not good enough. You get the picture. So, does this sound familiar at all? Like, even just a little? If so, raise your hand because your girl over here has very much done this so many times too. And you are not alone in that. And also, when I say raise your hand, it's like I am literally raising mine on YouTube. You could see that in the video. With that said, the number one question I get asked when it comes to shifting your mindset is how do I stop those thoughts? Or ultimately, how do I not let these thoughts derail me and how to change these behaviors? So, well, one, I'll just cut to the chase for that first part to say that you will never stop those negative thoughts from coming up, but you can control how you respond to them. And that's where I'm going to share my number one strategy with you for how to shift and support yourself through this. And that is with the infamous 3 N's derived from acceptance and commitment training, which is ACT. If you've been a part of my community, you know that this is something I talk about nonstop. So, today in this episode, I'll be focusing on the first N, which is notice your thoughts. Okay, so let me just ask you this first. I want to get you to think of your baseline here. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, how often do you take the time to analyze or simply just notice what thoughts and beliefs you have in general on any given day? So when you wake up, when you're at work, when you're cooking, when you're in the shower, on a walk, just noticing those thoughts. And also, how often do you notice the thoughts you have when you are triggered too? So give yourself a minute and think about that. And if your number is low, that is more than okay. That just means that you're in the exact right place to be cracking the code right here, right now on how to navigate this moving forward. Your mind will forever be shifted after today. And if your number on that scale is higher, that's awesome. You'll be pumped for episodes 2 and 3 to dive deeper. So, awareness of your thought patterns is the absolute number one key first step into shifting and changing any behavior. Listen, let me be straight with you. You can't change what you don't know needs changing. You can't improve what you don't know requires improvement. And you can't reach a goal without knowing what is needed to get there. So, setting the intention to become aware of your thought processes first is a huge and powerful step towards massive growth and behavior change in the long run. But you don't have to, but you have to start there first. Okay. So, takeaway 1 here is when you are getting frustrated at why you keep doing a certain behavior, pause and notice what specific thoughts are actually driving this behavior first before you try to change a behavior. And unpopular opinion, but sometimes people say to counter a negative thought with a positive thought. And I'm sorry, but that ain't going to be helpful when you are not connected to that positive thought yet. Your brain won't believe it and get behind it, and it will feel even more frustrating. So, with that said, within acceptance and commitment training, which is ACT, and that's the scientific framework I use in my coaching, There is a core pillar called self as context, AKA, this means your observer self or your noticing self. And that is about how you observe your thoughts from an objective lens separate from you. So let me explain a fun little metaphor here. I last year I made a reel about something called the chessboard metaphor, which is from Dr. Russ Harris. And so let's picture this. You have a white and black chess pieces on the board, right? Imagine the white pieces are your negative thoughts and the black pieces are your positive thoughts. Every time you have a negative thought occur, which is a white piece moving forward on the board, you try to combat it with a positive thought by moving the black piece forward. Every time you have a negative thought, a white piece is moved and then a black piece is moved to try to battle it. This will get so frustrating over time. You're just battling yourself in the end. And so, with this whole metaphor, is that you are not the pieces on the board, you are the chessboard. You are the one observing all of these thoughts happening, whether it is a negative thought or a positive thought, or just a neutral thought. They go back and forth, they move and flow, they come and go in their own time. You are observing that. You are the person witnessing this happening. So bottom line, you are the observer. This is so huge to realize. Take a moment to let that sink in. You are not your thoughts. These thoughts are not facts, and you get to choose how you respond to them and rewrite them. Here's your permission slip, if you didn't know you needed it, to detach from those negative Nelly thoughts. It is okay to have the thought and then simply take a step back, analyze if this thought is actually helpful or not for you in that moment. So, takeaway 2 is that you are not your thoughts and you get to choose how you respond to them. Allow yourself space to separate you as a human from that specific thought. And I mean, I'm a visual person. So, like, pretend you are literally pulling that thought out of your brain and holding it in your hand and looking at it. It is a different entity outside of you. And if you're watching this on YouTube, I literally like pulled it out of my head and I'm looking at it in my hand. So picture that when it comes to your thoughts. It can be so helpful to help shift your thought process. And I just wanted to also throw in some fun sciencey stuff. So let's talk about your brain. There is a part called the Reticular Activating System, RAS, RAS, which is a network of neurons located in the brain stem that project anteriorly to the hypothalamus to mediate behavior. With repetition of seeing the same specific goals, affirmations, activities in your life, your brain will begin to shift and rewire itself towards those things. So, if you are constantly believing and taking actions from the place of those negative thoughts, your brain will be wired from that place and stay there. So, you have to actively choose to shift from attaching yourself to those negative thoughts and notice them as separate from you. This simple act over time will support your brain to build new pathways in that allow you to see these thoughts differently and not make them mean something about who you are as a person. So, essentially, how do you support your brain with this shift? Here is your action step of this episode. Say a statement out loud when you have the negative thought. So the statement will be, I am noticing the thought of blank. So this could mean I am noticing the thought of I am lazy, or I am noticing my brain saying I suck at life, or I am noticing that I look at Becky's life and it looks all together and I don't feel like mine is, right? When you place the I am noticing in front of the thought, you are building the skill of detachment and a brand new mindset tool that you are utilizing for your brain to build a better understanding of how to shift its neural pathways. And honestly, like, think of your brain like an overly helpful friend that just wants to keep you safe. So it shouts out all these like negative thoughts as a coping mechanism. But then you're just like, hey, okay, I notice I'm having X thought brain, like, cool. And that allows you to move on without attaching deeper meaning to it. And I just want you to remember here, like thoughts are fleeting and temporary. But the meaning you decide to place on each negative thought towards your identity and who you are is long lasting and harder to unlearn over time. The more you believe and respond to those negative thoughts, the more it becomes a belief deeper down. So, this is your moment to nip it in the bud and support yourself right out the gate when those thoughts come up. With this skill and mindset tool implemented over time, your negative thoughts will become less and less of an annoyance or burden on you, and you'll be able to shift them a lot quicker. Once again, this isn't to get rid of them, but rather support yourself through them. Okay, so here's a research study that I thought was super fascinating to bring this point home in relation to shifting your mindset towards a new perspective, aka not focusing on the negative. There was the Crum and Langer 2007 study, and they did an experiment to study the effect of brain priming on a set of cleaning staff at 7 different hotels. What they did was half of the participants were primed and informed on how much exercise, quote unquote exercise, they were getting while they were working and cleaning the hotels. And the other half of the participants were not told any of this information. So the half of the participants that were informed of how much exercise they were getting, they were told like how many calories they were burning, how similar vacuuming is to a workout. And essentially the other half was not told any of that. Guys, the results, it's so wild. The first group of participants actually lost weight. And the other group that did not get that information about exercise did not lose any weight. And what's wild about this is that the first group didn't even do any additional work or exercise than the second group, yet still lost the weight. Like our minds are amazing. Like shifting their perception of work into this perspective made all the difference. So you are essentially priming your brain with these thoughts and beliefs, which then ties into the RAS. So, like the reticulating activating system in your brain. There is a lot of other research in the sense of priming and what this does to your brain and how this alters your mindset. If you believe the immediate thoughts that pop up in your head, like, I suck at this, I'm an imposter, I'm not good enough at my job, nobody likes me, I can't stop watching TV, I'm so lazy, I'm such a perfectionist, and the list goes on, right? If you believe these thoughts, then you create that into reality. You tell yourself it, then you act in that way. AKA, your thoughts influence your feelings, which then elicit the behaviors towards those thoughts if you let them take over and own you. Whatever you don't own owns you. So take that power back by pausing and noticing that these thoughts are there without judgment. You get to choose how you respond to it. So that leads into like the takeaway 3 here is that take that power back by pausing and noticing that the negative thought is there without judgment. You get to choose how you respond. If we allow ourselves space to notice how we view and think of ourselves, our day, our abilities, we can drastically change our behavior going forward. The more you bring awareness to it, the more helpful your life will be to make changes that you desire. So, that is where it all starts. Noticing your thought patterns, noticing what specific thoughts come up in situations that may stress you out, bring on anxiety or frustration. Simply notice and pause. That is it. No judgment towards it. And so, to recap, so your first takeaway here is awareness. When you are getting frustrated at why you keep doing a certain behavior, pause and notice what specific thoughts are actually driving this behavior first before you try to change it. Takeaway 2, you are not your thoughts. Thoughts are not facts, and you can separate from them without placing meaning to your identity of who you are as a person. And takeaway 3 is to take that power back in those moments of negative thoughts. And when you pause and notice they are there without judgment, you get to choose how you respond to it, being that observer. And when you allow yourself space to notice how we view and think of ourselves, we can drastically change our behaviors over time. Okay, and to recap the action step of this episode, say a statement out loud when you have the negative thought by saying, I am noticing the thought of blank. So I'm noticing the thought I'm lazy, or I suck at this, or I'm a perfectionist. When you place the I am noticing in front of the thought, you are building the skill of detachment and a brand new mindset tool that you are utilizing for your brain to build a better understanding of how to shift its neural pathways. And with that, I actually wanted to add a bonus action step here. If you're feeling stuck on how to catch a thought in the moment, add a cue or reminder to a specific time or location that can jog your memory for what thoughts you have in that exact moment. Doesn't need to be something negative. This is just to build the skill of noticing. So let's say whenever you walk into the door after work, pause and notice what thoughts are coming up. Or right when you wake up, what are you thinking? You can put a fun little reminder in your phone, like thought check in, or let's see what's going on in my brain right now. If you make it entertaining, you'll be more likely to want to do it. Okay, that is it for episode 1. Woo, that was a lot. How are we all feeling? Please share, tag me, or shoot me a DM to let me know your thoughts on this episode. I am just like, oh, and I just thought of that. Yeah. How convenient to pair this topic with this episode. Well, here's a cue for you right now. Go message me in the DMs and dump your thoughts to me in this moment. I'd love to hear them and connect with you. Thank you so much for listening. And now to the super fun things. So, giveaway details. If you are listening to this episode the week it launches from Monday, August 29th to Friday, September 2nd, I am doing a very juicy giveaway of, I hope you can hear the little drum roll I'm doing, a brand new mini coaching offer that is a 90-minute coaching intensive with yours truly, and it is free. I am so excited to be sharing this with you all. So then it is a 90-minute coaching call to support you with 1 to 2 specific concerns you have in your life right now. You will walk away with the recording of the call plus amazing personalized resources just for you so that you can implement what we discuss right away. Like, how unreal is that? Okay. This giveaway will be open all week and officially closes Friday night, September 2nd at midnight. So, how to enter? One, you have to be following me on Instagram. So, if you aren't, run over to Instagram and follow me at sonyajmac.coaching. And 2, share my Instagram post related to the giveaway in your stories. And please remember to tag me so I actually know you entered. If you don't tag me, I don't see it. And there are actually, so that's the main way to enter. And there's actually 2 extra bonus ways to enter. One of them is to rate and review my podcast on Apple or Spotify. When you do this, please send me a DM with a screenshot of your review so I know you've submitted it because I don't see who rates it. So please make sure to screenshot and send it to me. And the last extra bonus entries is tagging friends in the comment section of the Instagram post. And the more tags of people, the more entries. Woo! Okay, so that is everything for today. And be on the lookout on Wednesday for part 2 of this amazing #1 strategy to help support and manage your thoughts. I love you so much, and I will see you Wednesday.